Dave just got a 3D printer, so he's gushing over new technology, as he usually does. And it's a factor of old guys can learn new tricks. So, so we look forward to see his experience with his 3D printer. So that's super fun. But to get us kick started this evening, um, we've got a couple fun items from, well, one fun item from the FAA, which we'll get to here in a little bit. But Dan, do you have the link to our YouTube video
Oh
that...
gosh, sure. Just take me a moment here.
That's okay. So
Yes, our
we
very
reached out
special,
to
awesome new video.
yeah, so we reached out to the community and maybe see if you can share, see if it'll work a little better than mine because we all know how video works on my screen. So
Oh, I love the title screen. That's great.
all right, let's see. Let me see if I can get this to run here. Let me open this up.
And we definitely are open to ideas from everybody here as to how to get, how to share this video, how to get more people to see it, raise awareness, just spread the word, get it to be super popular.
I think we can do YouTube now, right? Hold on, let's try it like this. Can we do it like
Is
this?
there like a special
You know-
YouTube sharing in this?
You got it, Blunty?
Yeah. Yeah, let me try something.
Okay.
Can people see that?
Oh, I have to click, let's see, watch
Yep.
together? What
Oh,
does
is
that
it
do?
automatic or is it, or do you
Mhm.
have to like join a thing?
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
If you have
I
to
can-
join it, then it's not useful.
I just click join activity, watch together,
Yep.
Where did that show up?
and then I
Shows
have
it.
to authorize.
Oh my
Yeah.
Yeah.
goodness.
A lot of steps.
Barriers. Okay,
A lot of
great.
stuff that I'm not gonna read, but click
Yep,
anyways.
I just gave Discord the ability to wipe my computer, I think.
All right. All right. Well, let's try the old way. I guess.
Hopefully,
let's
first
do
it'll
that.
alter your video settings. That would only be fair.
Bear with us, guys.
I can do.
So while
I
they're
can try to do
they're
Windows.
looking to bring this up, the what the guys did is they sent. We've gotten to know a lot of people in the community over the last couple of years, and so we went around and asked if they would please say the statement that we worked up and send us a quick video clip. And so we got back, or they sent it back, and then I think Dan, you edited everything together and pieced it, and I love the way it came together. So hopefully, just as you were saying, hopefully this keeps the momentum going and encourages some more people to send memos to their congressional representative, singular, and their 2 senators.
Can you see that? Is
Yep,
that
got
useful?
it up there.
Is it full screened or no?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
Every day there are hundreds of thousands of drone and RC model aircraft users who are getting closer to losing their freedoms to be able to fly where they always have.
The new remote ID rules will add a monetary and technological burden to all of these hobbyists just trying to get out and enjoy the hobby.
This also affects schools where children in STEM programs will no longer be allowed to continue without this same burden, but there is a solution.
Go to raisingthelimit.org and send a message to your congressional representatives and senators
to say no to the 250-gram registration limit, and yes, to a new limit of 1 kilogram.
Meaning most of these hobbyists and children learning can fly and learn the same way they always have.
We need you to make sure that this hobby continues to grow and our personal freedoms are upheld.
I was really hoping to try to get one sentence where like everybody was saying it at the same time, all in their little boxes, but everyone has such a different cadence for how fast they talk that it just didn't line up well enough.
No, it looks great. Love it. Thank you. That was the end. Anyone who's done any video work knows how much time and energy something like that requires. So thank you, gentlemen, for putting that together. That was no small feat.
Yeah, and definitely thank you to everybody who actually submitted a video. We reached out to a lot of people, and these were the ones that got us a video back in time for us to put this out.
Yep.
All right. So, super important there. Actually, before I get started on that, so we just got some interesting information, and I rubbed my face for dramatic effect because
But
information back from the FAA
but
on.
before we go there,
Okay, let's go there.
we could staying on the raise the limit
Yes.
topic. We have the memo that we want to release to or send or submit to Congress on Friday, and would like to get that up on our website. Was that today or tomorrow?
It's up. Well,
It-
it's sort of up on our website. If you go to our website for the first time, you'll get this like pop-up window that tells you about it. So explain
Saw
a
it
little
pop
bit
up
more
earlier today.
for people who aren't following along here.
Absolutely.
What is this document and why should they take a look at it?
Okay, so we've asked everyone to send a copy and paste memo that's a summary, and we thought a good um, an abstraction, all right, not as detailed a memo to congressional representatives and senators, because we knew that we had to cover staff that was working on the aviation subcommittees, plural, and those who are not. And so, as we've been saying, we've been working with the congressional um, aviation subcommittee in the House, and we're about to send a more detailed memo up. And then the idea would be we're requesting Congress to incorporate these requests into the FAA Reauthorization Act of 2023, which hopefully will be through the House by the end of June. A parallel bill is being developed in the Senate, and we will send the same document that Dan was referencing up to the Senate Aviation Subcommittee, and hopefully some of these items will be picked up. Obviously, the number one topic is raising the limit. We've also incorporated FRIA, and so it's I think 7 pages, so it's rather in depth, and so this speaks to the experience that we've gained over the last 4 years, and this will be signed off and authored from FPV Freedom Coalition as well as Flight Test Community Association. So both teams have had a shot at looking at that, and what we welcome is any comments over the next couple days. We really want to get this done and get it up to submitted to Congress by Friday, because we know we are running out of time because they're up against a deadline to get those bills passed.
Yeah, so just really
Better.
briefly paraphrasing what you just said, the FPV Freedom Coalition and FTCA worked together, created this document that we're going to send hopefully this Friday or Saturday, real soon, to our contacts at Congress who are working on the FAA Reauthorization Act. And before we send it, we want all of you to take a look at it and give us any advice and suggest changes before it's too late.
So these
So,
were Josh.
yeah.
Josh, this was the positive news.
Yes. Very positive news. I apologize for skimming over
No,
this.
not at all. Not at all.
Sorry, I've been out of it lately, so I've got some personal stuff that popped up this last couple of weeks. So I'm a little behind on some of this stuff, so I'm rushing to catch up. So this was definitely a positive. Obviously, a couple key points here, as Dave mentioned, raising the limit from 250 grams to 1 kilogram. This is our biggest push. In which we kind of cite the history of our safety record, the history of the 250 gram limit, and why it's kind of bunk. And then what the future should be, which is target level of safety, in which things like well, there was an entire AAC committee formed around this in terms of target level of safety, and taking into account things like materials and actual science behind what happens in an impact with one of these things, as well as taking into account broadcast modules and their cost, or predictive cost, I think. So, and then FRIA process, which addresses the things that are going forward with FRIAs in terms of speed of approvals and the rationale behind what the FAA is saying in terms of how many there should be versus how many there actually needs to be, that kind of stuff. So, did I get all that right?
Yep, and we should also mention that there's a nuance in and this is a difference from the memo, which talked a little bit in generalities, but used the specific word raise the registration lower bound. In the memo that we've just posted, you'll see that there's a section called additional considerations that references a manufacturing lower bound. If Congress and then the FAA were to raise that, that would apply to all manufactured drones and bind and fly that are required to use standard remote ID as well as Part 107. So that would raise the registration requirement for manufacturing and have a remote ID knock-on benefit for that category. And so we've tried to be all-encompassing and sweep in everything that we were thinking of in this mass, this 250, up to now 1 kilogram.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so basically we're saying we want the registration limit raised to 200 or to 1 kilogram, and for consistency, we think they should change everywhere that it says 250 grams up to 1 kilogram, and that will also give us all those other benefits like having the manufacturer drones not required remote ID unless they're over a kilogram. And it just makes sense because it should be consistent and there's really no extra danger on anything that's that size. So please, Congress, just do it.
Please.
Please.
So again, the
pretty,
process
please.
goes right. So the process goes like this. So if we get this out, we can get these possible changes into the language before it goes out. Then that's where we want to be in terms of first steps. Now, if we can't, then we start focusing on the amendments process, and we've covered this before, I think, in several different meetings. But obviously, the first best case would be going this route. So there's a lot of people behind this movement. There's obviously videos have gone out. Our video has gone out. With support behind this. So this is akin to what we can accomplish for the next reauthorization to continually make it easier for people to get into the hobby, to lower the barriers of entry, and so on and so forth, to really kind of solidify the hobby even more. So,
and what you were just on is the timing is important because we're coming up on the Reauthorization Act of 2023. This happens once every 5 years for the FAA to be reauthorized, and that is a budget as well as a series of mandates. They are action items from Congress which is telling them what they will get done over the next 5 years. The obvious is, so great, this bill passes, and then this is going to be changed in November, right? Yeah, not at the speed that the FAA works.
And obviously, we're hoping that our letter gets to the people writing this legislation, and then when it comes time for all of our representatives and congressmen to be voting on it, they'll see that addition and know that, oh, all these people were writing me about this thing. I'm going to make sure that stays in there, or I'm not going to make sure no one takes it out, whatever. Hopefully they all agree with us, and that's how it works.
Here. Well said, Dan. Thank you.
So now here's the flip side to all this fun news is we've just received word today from the FAA, and I'm gonna at this point leave names out of it, but so we were requested to modify our safety guidelines to take into account specifically night flying, FPV racing, and that's it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. The guidelines that were just approved a few months ago.
Yeah, so when we became a CBO and all that got approved by them, so now they're coming back and saying you need to change this, and this, and originally didn't give us specifics on exactly what needed to be changed. So but cited obviously the advisory circular for information. So we made some modifications, and as we have talked about before, the FPVFC believes in really focusing on the judgment of the operator in terms of what they choose to do. We can recommend certain things, but we don't want to mandate things that actually aren't regulations. And here comes the key point, is that the FAA continues to go down a path of regulating via advisory circular, as opposed to going through the approved process of
Their
creating
own rulemaking process.
Yes.
Yep.
The government's rulemaking process. It's not just the FAA. This is a government-wide process of doing a notice for proposed rulemaking to modify existing regulations, get feedback from the community, get feedback from stakeholders, which admittedly CBOs are, and make changes that way. Instead, they are choosing to legislate via advisory circular to get the changes that they see fit, and in the process are negating the fact that there are multiple CBOs that have been approved. And what I mean by that is now there's a case where the possibility for every CBO, all four of us, I think there's still only four of us, that all four of us have the exact same set of safety guidelines, which makes it moot to the fact that there should be four of us, or 5 or 6 or 10. All right, why not just incorporate it all under one?
Yeah, the whole idea of a
Because
CBO
it's
is,
cookie
hey,
cutter.
you guys are the experts on your community, so you should make the rules about your community.
Right. Yeah. No, that's not the case anymore. So we're going to continue to look at this. I'm not going to go into detail on what they're asking, what they're asking us to do. But the fact that they choose to legislate via advisory circular, that they are choosing to make each CBO a cookie cutter version of the other one, so much so in fact to suggest that we copy and paste from somebody else's safety guidelines, and go that route. That's kind of where we're at this point. So obviously, I mean, there's going to be some pushback, and we're going to look at what we can look at. We're going to discuss amongst the team on what the path forward is going to be. But it's just a goofball move from the FAA.
So far, the benefit of being an FAA recognized CBO is that we get to submit applications for a FRIA.
Yeah, and that's it.
Oh, that process is broken.
Sure
Oh,
is.
right.
Yeah, and if you guys can't
there's,
tell, we're a little frustrated. Josh is very frustrated with this.
I'm not salty. I'm not salty at all.
It just came up very late this afternoon, and so it's like probably the only thing Josh can think about right now.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, like I said, I'm not salty. But here's the thing, guys, is that, we're not carbon copies of each other. Each one of these CBOs has a different community base. The AMA, they're more Dave's version of the crowd. And we've got Flight Test who focuses on getting people into the hobby at a young age with ease. We've got us who focuses on multi-rotors and FPV and racing and all that good stuff. So there's different communities for each one of these, and each one of them should be allowed to take that community into account for the safety guidelines that they're putting out.
For example, we know you might want to use batteries that are bigger than 4S when you race. Just pointing that out.
Bigger than 5-inch props.
Yeah, so
still not updated, by the way. Still reads 4S.
Well, and it probably will for a while, because that's what the FAA is looking for. So, I mean, here's the thing, is that, there needs to be, number one, more benefit to being a CBO. And that comes, even beyond the FRIA process, which is, yes, broken, and continues to be a pain point for us trying to get things moving forward. But even beyond that, being a community stakeholder and within the FAA to make suggestions, to be heard, to drive change, and to not basically stymie the hobby. And I mean, here's the thing: is the FAA wants to. I mean, there's a massive shortage of pilots, personnel, um, ATC operators. I mean, all these different um, jobs within aviation. There's a massive shortage, and they're just creating a bigger shortage by keeping people out of the entry to those jobs. And model aviation is easily the best entry into aviation, and least cost prohibitive way to get into aviation. So it's just, I don't know. It's
Yeah, we should
they just
we
pulled
should
the shotgun
mention
and blew their foot off. I
as
mean,
we've got this document still up on the screen. If you want to make comments to us, please use the contact FPVFC or send me an email directly to dmessina@fpvfc.org.
The way this
It looks
document
like
is
it's set to
shared,
take suggestions.
yep, you
Yeah.
can give suggestions or comments. This is a separate. I copied our other document, made a new one, and this one allows people to add the public to add
Ah,
comments to it. But those other
so
other
if you
ways
want to
are
know,
completely valid as well.
yeah, if you
great,
want to
thank
know how
you.
to do that, up here at the top where it says editing, hopefully you can see this on my screen. You can click this down, click into suggestions, and then you can highlight a section. Let's say this section right here. You can click on this add comment button, in which you can go in and add, you know, change this to this, that kind of thing,
Let us
and
know if something
you'll be
doesn't
able
make
to do that.
sense. Let us know if we have
Yes.
any typos we missed.
So, yeah, please feel free to make those suggestions. This is very much how we've done things in the past in terms of our response to the NPRM for remote ID and all kinds of other things that we've worked on with the community. So please
Yeah, and
feel free to give
as
suggestions.
we described previously, we met with two congressional staffers, two super bright young people. They encouraged us to do this, and then we got an email a couple days later giving us the leads in the House Aviation Subcommittee saying, "Send your the follow up to these people and copy us." So we feel that we passed a test. We're very proud of that, and we're grateful for this opportunity. So we hope that this is taken seriously, and just as Dan said, with the additional comments and the memos going in, that it's well reinforced.
Yeah. Um, I'm not naive enough to think that the FAA watches all of our town halls, but if you are, stop being a bunch of goobers. Just gonna put it that way. So yeah, those are the big points right now. So quickly, I'm gonna go through a couple of interesting articles. I
Unless anybody
think I'll
has any
skip that.
questions on that or anything else we should discuss.
Yeah,
But
that's a good point.
I
Thank
guess
you.
we have spent almost the first half hour on that topic. But it is a
Mm.
big topic, so it deserves some attention.
Well, and here's the thing too, and if you've got a question, please, you can type it out, chime in, interrupt me. I'm cool with that. But here's the thing: is that this is the primary point of why we do what we do, and interfacing with both the community and the FAA to make sure that we can all fly, and that's the super important part. So, I mean, taking up the first half or even the entire town hall on this is not a big deal.
Yeah, and if we're not
But
representing the community well, let us know. If this isn't what we, yeah, if people don't want the limit raised, they want it lowered, let us know and let us know if we're wrong.
all right. Well, if you've got a comment, drop it in there. Question, drop it in there. And we'll, as I'm going through some of this stuff, I did want to shout out a couple of cool, interesting articles. So this one comes from Hackaday. I've had a couple articles from them, but this is an interesting little device. So it's a EDF powered. Uh, I can't call it a multi rotor, but I guess a
Helicopter?
Ducted
Oh, what is it when
Well, it's not
they
really a
adjust
helicopter,
the direction of the
Unicopter.
So this is thrust
downforce
vectoring.
thrust vector? That's it. Well, yeah, it's right there in the title.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
A thrust
you know.
vectoring
What about a
monocopter.
unicopter?
Well, they're calling it a monocopter. So, I mean, but anyway, so it's an EDF that uses thrust vectoring to maneuver the monocopter around. So obviously, the speed at which it maneuvers forward, backwards, side to side is probably going to be a little limited. I would imagine when it drops down here, I think we probably need to expand some legs. But this dude, let's see, this guy, his name is Tesla 500. So dubbed it the simultaneously optimistic and fatalistic Icarus. It's really unique. The monocopter is built around a 90 millimeter electric ducted fan mounted vertically on a 3D printed shroud. The shroud serves as a mounting point for the landing legs and for 4 servos that swivel vanes within the rotor wash. The vanes deflect the airstream and provide thrust vectoring that gives this little machine its control.
I don't know why, but it looks
so-
really cute.
Did he
kinda
really
does.
name it? Did he really name it Icarus?
Yes.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And
So
it's not. It's not. There are no wax wings though.
They already melted.
Mm-hmm.
But it says, thanks mainly to the strong gyroscopic force exerted by the rotor, Tesla 500 had a hard time getting the flight controller to cooperate. He built a gimbaled test stand to work the problem through, and eventually rewrote Libre Pilot to deal with the unique forces on the craft and tune the PID loops accordingly.
Cool.
So thrust vectoring's been around for a while, most notably in terms of advanced use of it. The F-22 utilizes thrust vectoring, as well as a couple other aircraft. I'm not sure. I think there's a MiG that might use thrust vectoring as well. But
27.
yeah, that's correct. But definitely a unique way that gives a massive advantage to those fighter planes. Yeah, pretty cool. I thought that was pretty neat. So I got two kind of opposing stories here. One is Amazon's drone business struggles amid low demand and regulation issues. So I was curious. I wasn't 100% sure if the F-35 was thrust vectoring PV, but thank you. I appreciate that. I should know that. They fly those out of the Air Force Base right around here. In a video obtained by CNBC, Amazon drone delivery head David Carbon was quoted as saying that Prime Air has recently kicked off durability and reliability testing, a key federal regulatory step for Amazon drones to have permission to fly safely over people in towns. Although this may seem like a promising step forward, the division has actually been struggling to take off as regulations and weak demand interfere with its progress. In January, a large...
To side with this is unusual for me to side with Amazon. They've been trying to get type certification approval from the AFA for I think over 3 years on the same aircraft.
And type certification means exactly what?
It is a formal testing and manufacturing, and so it's testing everything and being able to prove that everything is manufactured and can be tracked and traced, and then going through rigorous trials.
And it's something like what a commercial airline or airplane would have to go through, right?
Correct. And it's become so difficult that designs in the United States don't change. Hence, this is why a Cessna 172 still looks like a Cessna 172 from the 60s, and the inside of it has changed, but the outward shell is still a Cessna 172.
So what you're saying is
not a good look.
Difficult to get through FAA red tape.
Yes.
Shocking.
Also, you better believe there's going to be a bunch of stuff about this that red tape in the FAA reauth from these guys.
Yes.
Oh yes. 100%
for sure.
Yeah, that was in fact this two points on that is the CDA, the Commercial Drone Alliance, with Lisa Ellman's Senate testimony was on this point, and then there is a bill on this point that is going through, I believe, the Senate, which stipulates that the FAA will release an accelerated program within 6 months after the approval of the bill to come up with a process to quickly get type certification out for AAM, advanced air mobility craft. So hitting the same
AKA
target.
air taxis and large vehicles that are doing deliveries.
Yep.
And
Thank you.
here's the rub is that it's funny that we've been pushing through FAA red tape. I'm sure ever since the creation of the FAA, people have been pushing through red tape. But now organizations like the Commercial Drone Alliance, Google Wing, Amazon Air, all these other companies are coming out and saying, look, it's too much. There's too much red tape. There are other countries in the world who are well accelerated past us in terms of getting this type of technology active and in the air, and serving the people, serving the community, that it's almost become a point of waste for companies to even attempt it. And if we're not going to accelerate this progress, then we're going to fall behind, and we're going to fall behind big time.
Well, I might be wrong, but I assume the FAA is using all their same processes they've been using for decades for manned aircraft, and they're just sort of reapplying them to type certification of this delivery drone, and that makes things way more complicated than it needs to be. Slows things
so
down.
much so that they recycle crewed aviation directives onto UAS. So
Right.
there's no, I don't know. Is there just nobody with innovation that works at the FAA? Okay, I really apologize. I'm still not
Nobody
salty.
made a rule and said they had to do it.
Right, right. So, but I mean, here's the thing: is that we're still using technology in our air traffic management that's decades old, and which led to a massive shutdown a couple months ago that costs a lot of money and costs a lot of people a whole lot of time and
which wasn't
money,
even being
so.
used anyway. I mean, I saw 100 pilots go like, "I never read NOTAMs anyway." You know what I mean? And it's like, there's so many issues. They're layered issues.
Yeah, we've got.
I mean, the
had
NOTAM
more
interface
incidents in
is
the
just
beginning of this year.
archaic.
Near miss incidents in airports between airliners this year than in many previous years. So yeah, we're at a crossing point with the FAA. They need help.
Yeah, 100%.
You just
So if we
let all the drone rules and regs just through CVOs and let CVOs take care of drone rules and regs.
It's one way to go.
CVOs are the experts.
I mean, let's just take the key point and say CVOs probably are the subject matter experts, and at least take their opinions and comments and communities into account, right? So, anywho, so we're still not salty.
Well, wasn't that how was it? Airbus got in trouble because they made their own, like they certified their own airplanes to say they're good, or was it Boeing? I forget
think it was
which.
Boeing.
The Boeing
I
plane.
think that was Boeing. That was the
737 Max.
Yeah.
Max.
The FAA just allowed them to say, "Yep, our airplane's good," and believed them.
Well,
So
it's rubber stamping, right? So
sometimes it can go the other way.
We don't see that anymore, do we?
But who knows? Maybe it's because of that they're so hard on other things like drones instead.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, with the best safety record.
Right.
Yep. So to get back to this, in January, a large number of Prime Air workers were let go as part of the largest round of layoffs in Amazon's history that saw more than 18,000 people axed.
Yeah, it was over 80% of Amazon Prime Air. So this organization working on their drones was decimated, and my heart goes out to any group who's laid off. It sucks.
I'm pessimistic. I mean, even considering the next story we're going to talk about, I'm pessimistic about this plan because it's the same plan that we're going to talk about in a minute, which is you're trying to deliver so far with so much weight. and I'm not sure about feasibility with current technology. So it'll be interesting to see like if there's a way to overcome that. But like even if they get all the regulatory approvals, I really don't think that we're anywhere close to the amount of, it's going to take so long of subsidizing this to get to a point where it's going to be profitable because the scale has to be so large to make money.
Yeah,
Right.
and I don't consider your view pessimistic, Plenty. I think you're on a very sensible point. Is where's the scale? Where's the monetization? How do you make a business out of this? And I think we've all seen the Mark Rober, is that his name?
Yep.
The zipline video, fantastic video, and there's a company that pressed on. Oh, what did they ship in Africa? Blood. And I mean, genius. A light, smaller mass, critically time sensitive, and I hope that they were finally subsidized to help the country there in Rwanda. Brilliant company, brilliant design, tailored the engineering to the solution, and used good logistics. So yeah, and right on target to what you're saying, Plenty. Would that have worked for package delivery in rural United States? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, it was attempted. I mean, as the thing, Zipline has that in Texas. They have planes in Texas that do a similar thing to the Rwanda planes. But I just don't. It's hard to judge feasibility. I don't know. I think it's difficult to see the end.
Well, I mean, the hard part is like, in certain areas and in key markets, I see that it could be possible. So, as an example, in the Phoenix metro area, there's got to be 6 or 8 Amazon warehouses here, where maybe things around those areas could be delivered quickly via drone, right? Where
Yeah.
they're coming direct from warehouse to the consumer and back to warehouse kind of situations. But in terms of
Or like
rural,
with well, there's the UPS case with rural where they have it integrated into the truck, and instead of the truck driving down the driveways, the drone just goes from the truck down back and forth. It's
right?
just a
But
very short trip.
I mean, think of it from, I mean, and this is where I come from, and I'm sure this is probably where Blunty's coming from, is that a person driving down the street is more apt to deliver more packages quicker than something that needs to be physically loaded, grab the package,
Hmm.
drop it off, fly back to the truck, and at that point, at that point in time, the truck may have moved on, a block down the street, or 2 blocks, or 3 miles down the street, and the UAS has to catch up to the truck, and then be physically loaded, so on and so forth ad nauseum. Whereas a driver, it has the capability of, dropping that package off quicker, doesn't have the maintenance that one of these delivery drones would have, the constant need for physical labor to load the drone, to launch the drone, all that kind of stuff. So
It's just to me, it's just too early. I think it's still too early, and I understand why companies are doing this. I just don't foresee them finding a profitable method here anytime soon. Uh, One thing as we come to the end of this story, before we go to that next one, I can call an audible here if we want to go into general chat.
Sure.
I'll add a story. This is also in the delivery vein. Wing has an idea that I think might work, at least sort of. We talked about this on the news a little bit last night. But Wing is trying to do a system where they're like, hey, we're just going to buy a place and put a bunch of drones there. And then if you want to use our drones, you can set up stations and then call the drones as a rideshare style service like Uber. So, like if you're a company who has like 2 slots out in your parking lot, you can then your people will just go out and put the food out there, and then the drone will come pick it up from your designated spot, go deliver it, and then go back to home base, instead of you having to invest in drones, partner with companies, like put space in your parking lots for like drone storage, and like hopefully it subsidizes it out to everyone instead of being direct cost for each business is the idea there.
Yeah. And this definitely makes a little more sense because it allows you to serve your immediate area, right? And
It
and
seems
not
at
have
least more
to.
feasible to me, like because you can then at least if you can get enough partners, that's low. It's low risk to those people, right? Wing was already trying to do the thing where you like roll up like a shipping crate, like a shipping container, and then they
Mhm.
would like roll out a bunch of drones, and then you would have like a mobile base of drones from there. But this seems like just a better version of that. If we can find a piece of land or people who want to rent a rooftop or whatever, we can literally just station everything centrally and then sort of make it way less burden and cost on the people who would be getting that shipping container. Instead, you're literally just as much as you need, you get. You're not
Right.
taking any more drone than you need, and then it's just about supply and demand for those drones and value to the people. But I definitely, to me, it seems way more feasible.
Yeah, 100%. Because, I
Yeah,
mean, individual companies won't be absorbing the costs of research, development,
yeah.
implementation, all that stuff. It's more they're just paying for the service, and hopefully the service is priced in a way that makes it
It
feasible for.
the way I think about it is if the Uber doesn't make it, you're not you just get out of the Uber and you call another Uber. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I'm not worried about the car that the Uber's in or anything when I call an Uber. And in the
Right.
same way, I think it's much easier as a business if like, oh, they just
I'm
didn't
not
make
worried
the
about the
delivery,
drone.
I make it up to the customer and they pay me back for the delivery they didn't make it, and then that's that. I don't have to worry about the drone or where it went or where it landed. Or, you all deal with that. That's your job.
Right. So, yeah, that's definitely a better
If
approach,
again, if the
at least
money all works
feasible.
out, yeah,
Yeah.
if yeah, but
I mean, if we're
they're
not
trying to.
taking, a loaf of bread and charging $15 for the loaf of bread just to get it delivered by drone, right?
Yeah, I think they mentioned that the goal here is to get those cheap deliveries like we've already seen from Walmart, Zipline, and
Mm-hmm.
Wing,
Drone
and
up
other
and
places like that, two to $5 range, which is like seems incredibly low, but I don't know, it's what they've been targeting. So
yep. So yeah, I mean, just interesting that there's low demand. We know that Zipline. We've talked about Zipline before. Um, they have done a lot of different things to kind of expand their system. They utilize not so much multi rotors, but they utilize fixed wings that they launch off essentially a catapult and send out. They started out in Africa delivering vaccines, delivering blood, and getting that thing out to those rural communities quickly to help those communities. And now they've partnered up with Walmart to do some of their delivery there. But they are actively seeking out customer feedback and developing new ways of doing things, including creating quieter propellers, so that there's not the noise burden in the communities that they're serving. So I don't have that Mark Rober video, but
I've got,
um,
I can at least post it in the chat for you.
there we go.
But yeah,
I would
yeah,
definitely
Mark Rober.
recommend. Go ahead, Monty.
Yeah, Mark Rober made a video just going through. Basically, to me, it looked like more like the concept. They showed the deliveries in Rwanda, which they've been doing and kind of cover pretty well. Then they cover the new concept, which is the P2 Zip. It's basically a multi-rotor slash wing thing, and then it attaches to a droid, which is like a little robot thing that can fly on its own. It'll nest that inside of itself, get to the zone, and then drop that little droid down, and the droid will do a local delivery, sort of like we talked about the UPS
Mm-hmm.
trucks would send out a drone and then it would come back. This is like a drone doing that, modular sending out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they showed new propellers in the video, which were like wishbone propellers. They essentially look like one short stubby part and then two long parts coming out, sort of like a Y. And that's what they're saying is the new technology that makes them way more silent. They're changing the
Mm-hmm.
frequency and the tip vortices and stuff. In the video, they said the frame they were flying was 50 pounds. It's hard to tell if that's accurate in the video or not. But if that's the case, it's way more silent than a 1 pound drone. It'll be interesting to see what flight characteristics are like,
Mm-hmm.
how it can get around and stuff. They're promising a 10-mile delivery range, which is 5 miles one way and 5 miles back, and I believe 6 to 8 pounds in the little droid that they would carry with it. So it'll be interesting to see. They didn't show that working. They didn't show the droid dropping. They didn't show the droid loaded on the drone or flying it anywhere. It's all concept pictures and images and stuff. But they say they're going to do like a million deliveries this year. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where this all ends up.
Yeah, and with the money that Walmart has to help finance this development, I'm sure in their partnership is definitely helping. So,
Yeah, they made
um,
a deal with another company, like a big greens company or something as well. Like they're making deals with different companies to like sort of plan ahead and try to get this stuff going ahead of time. Like, hey, we'll do all your deliveries and we're to subsidize them and we'll figure it out, sort of thing. So.
Yeah. So definitely, two different stories and two different successes, and it'll be interesting to see what becomes feasible. I mean, Zipline had a process that worked in Africa, and if that process can be as effective here, even with changes coming, it would be interesting to see who kind of we've got a delivery race, right?
I mean, there's
So
like we said, there's a lot of problems to solve, right? There's a cost issue just in general. There's a range issue. There's a weight issue. There's a sound issue. There's a lot of different problems here. Regulatory issues in general for approval. But if they can figure out like the sound piece, I think that's extremely important because there's a ton of bad press from this stuff on sound. So if there is ever going to be a value piece and like all these other pieces fit, then the sound piece has to be figured out, and they have to stop getting bad press from people going, I hate these drones flying over my house. Please get rid of the test area that you're just now testing. Like, it's the worst news in the world for people to hear, like, already the test markets are angry, so.
Yeah, and that's the case here in Phoenix as well with I think it's with the drone up deliveries that are here. The communities are just like, it's noisy, it's it's an invasion of privacy, it's ruining my ability to enjoy my home, stuff like that, which are all valid cases. These are the same reasons why the FAA and local airports get flack for changing flight paths, right? So it's a very similar story, but I think the first step is the company listening to the communities, and the next, well, maybe even that's step 2, but step 1 is the FAA expediting type certification processes and the capability for these companies to do what they need to do to either test this and come to a success or failure point, or to basically say, look, we want to do this, we want to have the capability to do this. How do we cut the red tape so that we can prove to you we can do it safely and move forward from there? So I mean,
if you're making a legitimate product, the barrier shouldn't be regulatory. It should be all the rest of the pieces. Fix the rest of it. Make it a viable business. And if it's a viable business and it's safe and you've done all the other things, then you shouldn't be caught in regulatory spaghetti.
Red tape. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Josh, to change the subject back up, Dan has copied in a question from Ed Will on YouTube asking, what about the current proposed bills like Drone Act of 2023? Is that going to be incorporated in the FAA Reauthorization Act of 2023? I think the answer to that is, I think it depends. It depends on the popularity or how much energy and how many in this case senators are behind a bill. The Drone Act of 2023 is showing 2% chance of passing, and it's not even into the aviation subcommittee. So it was proposed by 5 senators outside the committee to be put into a committee. So, and the same bill was proposed last year also by Senator Grassley. That one in particular, just looking at the current odds and the current what we can research about it, does not look like a lot of the content of that act will find its way into the reauthorization bill. It's also going after a different type of it's going after laws of the land, not mandates for the FAA. There are a number of other bills that are going through. I referenced that cites AUVSI. So some yes, some no. So it really is it depends, and it depends how who's behind it and how many representatives are behind it. So good question. Thank you, Ed.
So even more to the point, we don't know at this point what's going to go into the Reauthorization Act, and there are some things that where language might be fitted in, and from some of these various bills or suggestions. I'm sure the Commercial Drone Alliance is working probably similar process to what we are to get information added into that to move on to get that regulatory spaghetti, as Bunty put it, which is a great idea. Minimized. This one right here, this is the Increasing Competitiveness for American Drones Act of 2023. This is that same thing that we've been talking about. I know that Lisa Ellman recently went to Congress and testified in front of the Aviation Subcommittee on this particular subject. I think I covered it in a couple weeks ago. But and there's a great write-up on the thing she said, I think on the CDA page, and she makes a lot of sense. And it's funny because when we first started this whole ordeal with the FPVFC, Commercial Drone Alliance were, the bad guys, right? But I think we're all aiming for the same thing: is the capability to utilize UAS and drones for the things we want to utilize them for without all the regulatory red tape. And there's a market for it to a certain extent. There's a capability for it, and certainly in the recreational community, there's a benefit for it. Whether that's just getting out and having fun and enjoying life through FPV, through flying, or learning something, like a STEM program in class, or even just working your way towards getting a private pilot's license. These are all key things that create jobs in the aviation community and continue to push innovation. That's a key point of moving mankind on, is innovation. And by stifling that, it's we're literally shooting ourselves in the foot. So, but I'll get off my soapbox now.
Well, Ed did thank us for that answer a while ago.
Okay.
And he also replied saying he contacted his senator, who gave him a number to his staff member on transportation, so I can speak to him about the issues we are facing with the FAA, which sounds
Excellent.
great.
Yeah. DOT, that's the right organization.
As we've mentioned before.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Bunty.
You were just going to say the same thing. If you need any assistance with that phone call, if you want to be briefed before it, if you want us to be on it, all those things are 100% possible, and we'd love to help you. So please reach out to any of us through the Discord, through YouTube, through emails. We all have emails at fpvfc.org, Blunty and etc., all the other guys. Please reach out, and we'd love to help you if you're at all interested, so we can make sure we get the right information over to them. You can be briefed as much as you make sure you know the topic properly and all that kind of stuff. So.
100%. All right, so I'm going to open it up. Dave, you got anything else this evening?
Busy. Not much. Not much I can add to what we've already discussed.
All right, Alex, we got anything going on?
Not much. We have there's some. Well, the GQ was announced. I guess that's pretty big. AK's track won for a third year in a row, so three-peat for the global qualifier track.
Different track though, right? He's
different
not
track.
Resubmitting the same track.
I think. Do you know the total number of votes, Alex? I think the post said it was like over 400 or something.
I don't know the total number. I didn't look or ask.
Yeah, definitely more than last year, though.
Yes, it was much more than last year.
Yeah,
and I think that has to do with MultiGP's new marketing person, who's been really pushing stuff out there.
I was gonna say I don't know who that's. I shouted him out on the news too, but I'll say it here too. I complained about MultiGP last year. I bitched directly to Chris Thomas and a couple other people, and I don't have any idea what it was related to. But this year they've been killing it. I mean, literally destroying it as far as like new website, posts for every event, dates for everything, planning ahead, Facebook posts, double, triple,
It's been in the
quadruple
works for a
announcing
while.
things. I mean, it's been great. I mean, it's great to see. I mean, it's wonderful to see. So
A lot of back end work that's finally getting out there, and
killing it.
reorganization that's working. So
Great.
Yeah, it makes a big
great.
difference. It's along with what we, when we talked about the new website on all the spec leagues, that got officially joined with MultiGP, and yeah, it's just really cool to see that because MultiGP should be the face of FPV racing, and yeah, they need to embrace all that stuff, and they definitely have. So it's wonderful to see that.
Yep.
then
100%.
I guess the next April's pretty soon, and got some big events coming up then for MultiGP. At least I think we have 3 big events in April. We have the Collegiate Championships, the first and the second. We have Mayhem, the 14th through 16th, and then we have Ice Storm, which I think is around the 29th. I don't remember the exact dates, but it's towards the very end of April. But packed April for a lot of racing.
And
Cool.
Street League also has a couple of races, I believe, in April. One at Edgewater, and I think following that in Miami, I believe, or somewhere near
Also,
South Florida.
Just throwing it out there because I don't know that people have been following it. What's it called? MLDR, Major League Drone Racing, has their first race in May, I believe, which is
Great.
supposed to be a real race that happens in person. So it'll be the first thing they've ever officially done.
Nice.
So
that's awesome.
It'll be interesting to see, how that all goes.
Been a lot of build up.
So far, it's just it's a website and a bunch of people talking and a bunch of people that are on, have a bunch of jerseys and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see it all come together.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Dan, you got anything for us this evening?
Nope, just hard at work on that video and trying to spread the word and get it as popular as possible and all that stuff. Trying to go viral, which is you can't do that on purpose, but good luck.
Run it as an ad.
We need your help to go viral. Dan really needs your help. He worked very hard. Everybody worked very hard on that video.
Who can we buy a cameo of and then make a viral TikTok with a cameo of somebody?
Just use AI to generate the whole thing.
There you go. Man,
deep fake.
We don't
actually
need to get the people to say anything. We just get AI to say it for us. And upload their voice, deepfake someone else, deepfake one of us, and we'll be golden.
And I don't know what the best thing we could do here is. How can all the people that are in the video help us the most? Can they talk about it on their channels? Can they reshare it? Can they do Instagram or something to help boost the signal as much as possible?
Yep. All right. So thank you, everybody. Blunty, I'll give you the last word tonight. Anything?
No, I'm good. I think we.
All right.
Yeah, I think it was a good meeting, and we came right into our hour. So.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us. We'll keep you updated on some of these topics from the FAA. And we'll see you guys in another couple of weeks. And again, somebody needs to make a meme of this. I'm not salty. But with that, good night. We'll talk to you guys later.
Thank you.
Later, guys.
All right, bye.